All right, welcome back to another. All right, welcome back to another video. This one is gonna cover just the different, but ideology or the different habits between different generations, Gen Z and the baby boomers. Without any further ado, I'm gonna go ahead and let the video start. And we're gonna comment in a minute.
Position 3 months. They just think my ideas are so absurd.
It comes across to me as, how do we do less work?
I think you guys are stubborn.
Because we use technology for a lot of things that we're lazy.
I'm not sure you value how hard you have to work.
What's the worst thing about my generation?
Can Gen Z and baby boomers get along in the workplace? To find out, we paired
Different
6
generations, different
for an unfiltered
mindsets.
conversation about
It's
work
hard.
culture.
What misconceptions do you think people have about the way your generation works?
I think the easy one is Gen Zers can be seen as lazy or not willing to work as hard.
And that technology is doing all the work for us, which I don't think is the case. Kind of like a get in, get out mentality of like, I'm just here to get money and I don't care about anything else. I think it's just a little bit of a pushback against like companies that ask for a lot more work for the same amount of pay.
I don't feel like Gen Zers are lazy at all. I think they're full of ambition, but it's just in a different way. It's maybe more myopic. I don't know, like,
Yeah.
not what's good for the company, but what works for me.
The boomer generation and older people tended to place more emphasis on work and position and promotions and those kinds of things.
I think the work-life balance is a little different now. And we were like growing up, we were able to see that in our parents and grandparents and just how much they worked and how much stress that they were under. And I think a lot of us just don't want the pressure of that.
We, as Gen Z, have a fear of being given way too much if we express too much curiosity and intelligence, I guess. And so I understand where our fear is with that.
I've seen that just as being female. Women feel like if they say no, that it's going to hurt their career. And so they say yes until they have way too much on their plate. It's very important to learn when to pull back.
Probably nothing drives a boomer more crazy than when a younger person grabs the mouse or grabs their phone and says, let me do this for you.
Someone said to me, no one would expect you to know Excel as well as you do because of your age and your gender.
Really? Is that your face?
Yeah, but it was just in fun. Gen Zers might not see that baby boomers do want to move forward with technology.
We should probably be a little more patient and understanding, like you said, like we grew up with this technology and you guys like came in the middle of your lives and you've had to adapt to it.
Do you believe loyalty exists in the corporate world?
Maybe less so in this day and age. Nowadays, it very much feels like this corporate greed.
I've never felt like I needed to be loyal to a company for any reason. Being loyal to a company can get you to places to an extent, like climbing up the corporate ladder or making connections or keeping the connections you've had for a really long time. I wouldn't sacrifice.
But there's less loyalty to a company because as time has passed on, people are seeing that these companies aren't necessarily loyal to you. And so with new generations, you've had Gen X, Millennial, now Gen Z, kind of living through life and going through the workforce, realizing that, and technology coming about, realizing that you kind of have to take the horse by its horns and control your own future, and you can't really rely on the corporations and the companies to do it. So yeah, loyalty with the company is kind of something that's out the window nowadays.
My own morals or my own wants and needs for a company's.
Maybe employees are now just an expendable resource to some of these bigger corporations.
Right.
I go back to my earlier careers and you really felt safe all the time. And as time moved forward through the 90s and the dot-com bubble and all the other things that started to happen, it felt more and more like it was the corporations were less loyal, therefore we will be less loyal.
I feel like Gen Z feels that so hard. I've been laid off multiple
Absolutely.
times, and I've only been at the position 3 months. It's that Gen Z worry of being exploited or cut off with no notice that it's like, I don't want to put my everything into it.
Put all your eggs into that basket. I totally get that.
Give a name and have someone laid off that I've been disloyal to that person, it's painful.
I think Gen Z looks at layoffs as a lot more of an evil. You know, why can't that company be loyal to these employees? And I think boomers look at layoffs as, we've got a business to run. If we're not solvent, if we don't get our expenses under control, we're not going to be around to allow anybody to have any jobs.
Job security is a hard and scary thing that a lot of people go through. Your job can now be taken over by AI. There's just no guarantee that your position is safe. I don't think people even have the opportunity to be loyal to a company if they even wanted to. Do you think your generation has it easier than mine?
No.
Ooh.
No, we're the ones that, walked uphill 10 miles in the snow to school.
I think as far as a career goes, I think that boomers had it a bit harder than Gen Zs. I think there was more demand on them, on their time. It was so much less flexible.
I would argue that the job market is a little bit harder now. Going to college and getting a degree, it doesn't pay off as much as it used to. These entry-level jobs they can't get because they don't have the experience.
We went through a recession in
That's true.
1980 and 1981, but then we had the Great Recession in 07 and 08, and we were going, everybody's shutting down, there's no jobs, what are we going to do? So I think every generation goes through these
And then
waves.
even since then,
Right
we've had
now,
the pandemic.
I agree, job market's a bit rough.
I do think people think that this generation has it easier because of all of the advancements, but I don't think it's easier. There's like this pressure to make 6 figures by 22 and graduate in 4 years, and you have to do all these things while you're young. And I think that we're just always worried about not being good enough or not being on the right track.
Do you think companies owe their employees anything beyond a paycheck?
Yeah, a paycheck is great, but you're telling me I can't take a day off because I'm tired or I'm sick. Like, I think sometimes employers think that they own you and they forget that you're human. I just wish there was more of a work-life balance, and I think employers could aid to that by being a little bit more understanding and compassionate.
I think companies should prioritize and invest in their employees' mental health. I mean, I've heard of studies they've done in Europe where they did like a 4-day work week, and even though they had a whole extra day that they weren't working, their productivity statistically increased.
4-day work week, terrible idea, terrible idea. Working is a good thing, to think that, how do we taper it down? How do we do...
Working is a good thing if you can find what you love and enjoy and are passionate about to work at. Then it doesn't feel like you at work. It feels like you enjoy it. It feels like you, if you want to feel like you at play when you at work. Now, if it's something that you kind of have to do, it pays the bills, but it's a grind, then it's not a great thing. It can lead to mental health issues. It can lead to a lot of kind of unsatisfaction and depression if you hate your job, but you gotta go through with it. So it's not always great unless you're doing something that you love to do, and that's the goal for everybody, is to find something that not only pays you, but you enjoy doing it, and you never go to work a day in your life when you enjoy doing what you're doing.
Across to me is, how do we do less work? I don't think it's that good for society.
If I can work a 4-day work week and get just as much done as I would in a 5-day work week,
I would think you're a magician. If you get that done in 4 days, and you tell me that you normally would have been 5 days, I'd take that 5th day and I'd say, okay, so now what could you get done? Well, you'd get done more. I don't think it's realistic to think I could do as much in 4 days as I could do in 5 days.
Future employers expect you to get a lot of experience from previous jobs, and if they aren't willing to give you those experiences and throw you in the deep end, or at least teach you, mentor you a little bit, then there's not a lot to gain from that from that experience or that position.
I would
so.
agree. A lot of the people I manage are entry level, and I feel like it's my job to launch them.
Yeah.
Whatever their career goals are, even if they're outside of what they're currently doing or outside the scope or whatever, I want to help them get there. And I feel like that's what employers really do owe their employees besides the paycheck.
So I'm a hard yes that companies owe a lot more. If you look at what motivates employees, money and the paycheck are really far down on the list. So for somebody to feel valued at work, to feel that they get the recognition that they deserve, not only from their boss, but from their boss's boss and their peers, it is huge.
Just recognition or just making that known and nothing beyond that almost doesn't really mean much to me. If I'm looking at this company and let's say that project I did made all this money to them, like I would almost want to see like a little piece of that.
One of the challenges with money is it is so short term. So if somebody comes and says, hey, here's $100 for that project that you completed, or $1,000, whatever it is, you're pretty happy, but you're happy for about a week, and then you spent the money and you've kind of forgotten about that. I think regular recognition, where inside my boss values what I do, he or she values the contribution that I make, I think that's something that creates a whole lot more loyalty between a company and...
Okay, he about to go off onto some bullshit. You know what I mean? Because if you value me, show me you value me with what you compensate me with in my paycheck. That's where I'm at with it. Don't all this other ways to show loyalty bullshit is just ways around you paying me more. You employee of the week, attaboys, parking spots, and all that shit. Now, give me the money. That's me. If I'm doing a great job and you value me here, you show it. Show me you love me. Show me the money, like Jerry Maguire said. Don't be talking about how much you value me and how much you love me and how, giving me other things, other trinkets to show how valuable I am, but I'm still counting the same paycheck. You show me you love me by increasing my pay. That's it. All the other stuff is filler.
And an employee, kind of going back to our original question, do we owe those employees something more than a paycheck? I absolutely think we do, and I think they're going to come to expect it more, and I think companies and people that manage teams need to step up and deliver those things.
The thing that motivates me more than anything else is seeing the people around me thrive. The passion of the people around me is what drives me.
At least at this point in my life, super easy.
I would say at this question, I would say money and passion. If you got the passion for what you're doing, then you'll probably grind at it for hours a day, gleefully, happily, and enjoy it. Then if you also are rewarded, and say you write songs, or you write a book, and you're rewarded with the feedback from the public, where they're buying it, and you are passionate about writing, and you're getting the financial feedback as well. That's the cycle that just keeps you going right there. You got passion, something that you're doing that is you're passionate about. It's also financially rewarding, and then you're more passionate about doing it because you are being rewarded to do what you already enjoy doing. If that's music, if that's writing a book, if that's creating a business that you love, that you're passionate about, and you also can find the sweet spot between what you enjoy doing and the compensation for what you already enjoy doing. That's the perfect loop. Stability is something that I think corporations throw at people to get them to do little menial jobs and tasks, and then they say, okay, well, it's a stable job because you got a stable paycheck and you don't have to worry, and you got stable benefits, and it's just a mask to give you less, to get you to accept less than what you actually are capable of doing. It's always the sweet spot in life to find what your passion, what you enjoy doing. It sounds a little controversial to some people because some people have always been taught that work is supposed to be hard. Work is supposed to be work and play is supposed to be play. But in a lot of cases, work can be play, and in most cases, when work is play, that's when you're going to have the most abundance in your life, both in time and reward.
To passion. I think that's the thing that from day one can be motivating to, the day they put you in the ground.
I agree to an extent. I think I want passion to be the driver, but the way that the cost of living is just so expensive, it's like I kind of have to put that aside and really just be money driven.
If I had more money, I could have a house. I could.
Yeah, I mean, but back to what the young lady was saying, the cost of living being risen to where it's so expensive, they raise the cost of living, and then a year later they have inflation, or they give you a raise after they've already inflated the money, and it's just kind of like an invisible chain. I call it I wrote it down up here. I call it sophisticated servitude. You don't have chains on you like the slaves had back in the day. You don't have chains, but you're chained to the desk at your job because you have bills and you have debt. You're chained to the debt that, either you was put on you, because there's ways they put the debt on you, student debt. You need to take out debt to get a car. So all the debt that is put on you or that you take on now becomes the chain that keeps you doing the work that you hate doing. And it's difficult to unravel that web, but just kind of seeing how, it's that constant being behind the curve that keeps you in servitude. And the government and people at top realize this. We need a working force, so they keep rising to where you're always chasing, and they kind of keep you on this hamster wheel of always chasing the cost of living.
For a family, I guess this is getting to a kind of another topic, but I just think like my value as a man is somewhat tied to the amount of money I have. It just opens a lot of doors that I may not have access to right now.
Oh, I like this one. This is a fun question. You ready to rock?
I'm scared.
No, don't be scared. I got you. In the most unfiltered, uncensored way possible, what's the worst thing about my generation?
Okay. This is no offense to anyone in specific. It's very hard to get through to some baby boomers. They can be very, very hard-headed, and they're not willing to acclimate to this new generation. The ones I've interacted with don't see that other people can work differently, live their life differently, and thrive. They just think my ideas are so absurd.
If I had to answer with a criticism,
It's just the amount of time in front of a screen, I would say, is the worst thing.
I'm not sure you value how hard you have to work to get to where you want to get to.
My answer isn't to nitpick an element of something that is done differently than the way I do it. It is in the idea that I'm not convinced that the generation and the people that I'm speaking of, and again, same thing with you, I'm speaking in generality, right? Mm-hmm. Believes that they can do more, believes it's not about that if they can find a way to take a bigger risk, that they could just fly and absolutely change everything because of the way they use technology and because of the things that they do. Just the beginning of that pursuit, even when it goes completely awry and completely wrong, is worth it so that you're never second guessing it and you don't leave this life with any regret.
And just for a little context before they finish to the end of the video, they're just basically talking to the baby boomers and Gen Z. This is the oldest generation that is still living. There are some still veterans generation that are alive. That would be your great grandma and things like that, probably passing into their 80s and 90s. And they're still very much part of the conversation, but you know, they're a lot older. They're not in the working force anymore, obviously. So why they're not included as the veterans is because they're probably not in the workforce anymore. But you still got baby boomers, which are their children that are in the workforce. In the middle of that, you have Generation X, which are the children of the baby boomers. That's me. That's us, depending on your age. If you happen to be in your late 30s and 40s, or actually 40s now, you should be clearly approaching your mid 40s if you Gen X, and 50s. And then millennials are in their late 30s, early 30s. Some millennials are in their late 20s, but then up into the mid 20s, down into the mid 20s is where you have Gen Z. And so they're 18 to 25, 18 to 28 is Generation Z. They're the youngest age that is in the workforce now. Okay, even younger than that, they're not old enough to drive yet. Generation Alpha would be my kids, but they're not even old enough to work yet. So they're not included yet. But in the workforce, you have Gen Z, the youngest, millennials, Gen X, Generation X, and baby boomers that are still in the workforce, still, you know, grinding it out, or maybe they've retired, or maybe they're working, they're building their own business or whatever, but they're still very much, you know, trying to put food on the table. So they're the working force. Older than the baby boomers, probably retired and probably almost the grave if they older than the baby boomers by this time, and younger than Generation Z, they're too young to drive. So right now we're talking about the adults between 18 and 65 are going to be your boomers, your Gen X, your millennials, and your Gen Zs.
Hey!
How's it going?
Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you.
Okay.
Hi. You are not what I imagined at all.
I assume that you're comfortable and you should focus on these deep value things when, at your age, this is kind of Maslow's hierarchy. You're looking at, but wait a second, like, am I going to make enough money to have a viable career? Am I going to be able to buy a house? Can I buy an engagement ring for my girlfriend?
Yeah.
And I think that, you know, for people that are older, we need to pay attention to that.
Cool.
Alright, I guess that's all. It's going to be all on that. I'm always interested in these social videos that discuss things from the different generation standpoint, because we are facing different things depending on our age groups, and sometimes we can not understand another generation's plight or standpoint.
So the biggest competition
Pause it. She's got some big ass titty. Pardon. So I'm, you know, glad to be doing these type of review videos over the different generations and what work and career means to the different generations. If you like my take on the video, if you like just or if it's your more than your first time here, go ahead and leave the video, comment, leave a comment so I can respond to you. Subscribe to the page because I'll be coming out with more videos to interact with. And then if this somebody, you know, somebody that should watch it, if you can refer this video, send it to a friend. All right, thanks. Take it easy.